Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Drawing for Tattooers. I'm your host, James Wisdom. With me today, we've got Shamik.
Hello, everyone.
Hey,
Thanks for the
Shamik.
invite.
Of course, it's a pleasure to have you today. Thank you for coming to the stream. I know we've got a lot of really amazing things to show and share um, with the viewers. I, I, I guess I just wanted to, just sort of to introduce you and to let you tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you at? How long have you been tattooing?
Okay, so I'm based now in UK, in Blackpool. It's like a seaside town. Moved to Blackpool in 2008. Been working in a shop which I took over a few years later. So in 2016, I took over the shop. We expanded last 2 years ago. We took another 2 floors. So we've got a merchandise shop, and my partner is running tea room with the art gallery, and we've got some like a art studio. So there's a few aspects, different sides of the business. I've started very early when I was 15, 14. I've built my homemade machine, and I've been trying to build one. I was building different versions of it for quite a few first years of me tattooing, till I got a professional coil machine set after probably about 9 years of tattooing. So I've been through all stages of tattooing, from homemade and like getting needles, sharpening needles myself, and putting cottons on a homemade machine, to like coils, and now freehanding. First 10 years never used a stencil. In 10 years of my tattooing, I always freehand designs on the skin, so it was quite challenging. Yeah, so like coil machines, and now rotary. So all aspects, from underground tattooing to fully established tattoo studio now.
Amazing. I'm sharing my screen. It's your shop homepage. So you got all these
Hmm.
artists that work with you. Um, and so we can find you at Inkden Tattoo. That's your
Yes, that's
website.
right. That's the
Okay.
website, the easy way. On my page, if you go to my profile as an artist, there's a links to all my social media, some merchandise shop we've got, and there's some videos on YouTube. There's a channel on YouTube. We've got Inkden TV and traveling, and that's how what it's called. And there's a playlist with my work. So most of stuff we will be watching today, it's available there as well as a time lapse from the process of tattooing. There is some blogs about me as well on the website. So there's a few different, like, about my sculptures. There's a blog about my sculptures. There's all the information can be found on the website.
Amazing. Well, I put up a QR code on the screen that can get you to Shamek. So
Yeah,
again, it's again amazing work, uh, and your website's fantastic. It looks
thank you.
beautiful. It makes me want to come and visit.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. So all right, I am. I'm just curious too. We've been talking. We got a chance to catch up. We've been meeting in these online spaces for a couple of months now,
Yes.
and I've gotten a chance to not only see your work, but also you're a great businessman as well. You run a great business, um, and so I think you know something that we were talking about yesterday that was so interesting to me, and something that I really feel like it's so important is this idea of sketching, because we see really polished. We're going to look at some really amazing polished work today, but you start off at a very in a very rough way with rough sketching, and there's a lot of process that goes into your work. So I know that you have prepared a couple of elements
Videos.
to
Yeah.
share with us. Yeah. So let me uh, let me
Okay.
clear the way. Um, oh, and put the ticker down here. And I think what I can do, I can I'll let you share your screen. So now you are up.
Okay, let's have a look. So the first one is a back piece I've done. It was one of the first bigger projects in this style. So let's pause it for a second. So I've started with the photographs of the back with uh, different setup of the shoulders. I've asked him to move back and forward to see the lines and how the shapes change. Obviously, everyone has a different body shape, especially back. It's so so many variations of how the muscles and body shapes uh, can relate and how can flow all together. So ideally, I've asked for customers to send me some photos, and yeah, I've tried to imagine shapes and the main ideas of what to have and in three-dimensional form, and then start to sketching it, very rough sketches. Sometimes they are about 20 minutes. I'm trying not to spend too much time on one because then it's harder to kind of let it go. So ideally, I've done one and then it's another one, just to have different, like a brainstorm with the designs, just to have more freedom. If you start putting the details too early, it's like sometimes it's very hard to give up in time. So attempt to, like, in the past I've been spending like hours and hours trying to figure out one design, and it's like when something wasn't right at the beginning, you've just spent so much time doing it. So then now I just have 10-20 minute sketching routine, which I've been told by Toffee when like I was going to start to do seminar, 3D seminar. Is like, okay, you know what? Maybe you want to do like hundreds drawings in a month, 10-minute drawings before you come in for seminar. And I've done hundreds, and it's quite interesting how you progress in time uh, with this sketches altogether. And I think I always advise to the young artists to do that. Like the apprentice, before they start in working with us, we send them away and ask them to do hundreds drawings, 10 minutes each, 3 minutes for shapes, 3 minutes for light source, and 4 minutes for like a detailing, and it does work. So as you've seen here, there's like different versions of it. 1 second, I'll show you, and that's what we come out with on the end. So that was the four versions of the sketches, which you can see
Wow.
already here how much they evolved. Like by just finding the flow of how to work this method. So that was last one. I probably spent more time in here just because I've enjoyed that. But give me different variations. I think we're based quite a bit on, and I use all of those. So I like this one in here, so I'm gonna kind of work with that. I like some of them shapes, so and I like those shapes. So it's been mixture of different elements from them to actually start creating the 3D design, which I'll show you now.
But I like that you're really only spending a very short amount of time on, on this design part. You're not getting, like you said, too obsessed with one thing yet. You're letting it develop,
Uh,
and then you're spending some. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, that's. I've we all probably as a two artists, and I do the same with even like the basic or like a realistic tattoos. I've got timer for 10 minutes, and when I'm looking for reference, I'm gonna give the silly example of like pocket watch and rolls and whatever you have it included. I just spend 10 minutes to search for each design, and I'm trying to do three different versions of the tattoos. So 10 minutes for example, for pocket watch, 10 minutes for rose, and 10 minutes for whatever else they want to have it included, and then 10 minutes for each design to put, mock up together. And I'm trying to do the same with drawing, the same, like 10 minutes. Depend if it's back, it might be 20 minutes, but have a timer and then let it go. 20 minutes, next one, 20 minutes, next one. Just give me a bit more freedom, and just like you try not to overthink, you just sketching it. So because when you start doing 3D designing, is a lot of time to put each element and kind of plan it, and it still needs adjustment. So just guessing that time, it can cost a lot of hours altogether. So it's better to do the sketches first.
I think this is it's really good advice. It can be it can be challenging to live up to it all the time. But here's the next sort of the next step. You're getting ready to show us. You've
Mhm.
done uh, you've done some very rough sketching, 10 minutes a piece. You do a bunch of them. Next, after you've refined it a bit more. You spent a little bit more time on it. Now we're looking at ZBrush,
Yeah,
and we're seeing
ZBrush.
and we're seeing,
So
like, so this 3D editing software, you are going to create a 3D model of your concept, right?
yeah, so I'm starting. Depend what part of the body, but I'm normally starting with actually sculpting the body part, because this back wasn't like a typical back with the lines and flow of the back. So I've decided to actually sculpt the back first to give me the outer layer of the panels, which you will be able to see on the end. And then when I had the back, I've started creating like the spine element, and just trying to figure out the way how to kind of set things up. So I can see how I created the spine, and that is as well. I've got the reference. Like the thinking board with the reference of the anatomy of humans, and there was a pictures of the spine as well, so I could base my designs heavily on like a internal works of the human body as well, trying to kind of shapes represent some shapes and mechanics of the actually body as well. And so now I'm creating like the outer layer, which is like a panels, uh, like that. Also it's good to have them like framed somehow. Uh, I do quite often the time lapse from the sculpting, but quite often because of the time lapse, it's quite heavy on a PC, and it crashed the program. So I've had few, but it might be all like gaps like it was before here. And then you see like putting more elements.
And I think something that you had mentioned, and that it goes back to this whole idea of, preparing through sketching and stuff. Uh, you're not going to just jump into this part, to like really rendering out, or building out, I guess is a better word, all this
Hmm.
3D modeling, until you have a pretty clear idea of what it is you're going for.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of hours. Luckily, we had a lockdown, and if you start playing with the 3D software, that's the end product. So that was six sittings. So we had two sitting at the top, two at the bottom, and the middle. But middle
Wow.
was, so it's like 6 days sessions.
So that was another question. We're finally looking at a finished tattoo. We saw the process all the way from very rough sketch through your 3D modeling, um, and now we're seeing a finished piece. You were saying that you did it in 6 days. Um, could you do you want to talk about that a little bit more? Like, how long do you work on people? I think typically in the tattoo shop, people come in for an hour or two. Maybe they come in for a whole session.
Yeah, I've considering my customers travel from all over the world. Ideally, they don't want to travel just for one day at a time. So the first customer which came from Canada, for like I had the one from France, which was coming for 3 days in a row, and was kind of like challenging, but I wanted to see how much we can push it. So we had Warwick, which came from Canada, all the way from Canada. Got obviously for you it's not that far. It doesn't sound that far, but obviously
Hmm.
being in based in UK, it's a big trip. So he came in, his first tattoo ever. He's been a professional snowboarder when he was a teenager. So the first question was, how you deal with the pain, and did you have any, experience with coping with long-lasting pain, which is important as well. Not everyone will be able to withstand that many, sessions. So yeah, he came in and he got a full sleeve done in one trip, and
Wow.
on part of the chest as well. Uh, and we got quite a bit of designing put together as well. We spent like a 2 days designing in 3D software. His car is a custom car. He's got certain elements like chains when he widen the car, and I had to put the chains to create panels. and it's called Chain Smoker. It's been featured on like lots of different programs on your shows, the custom car shows. That's his car, and that's why he wants biomechanical tattoo to kind of relate a bit to his car. So if you see like the front grille, I've used it on his chest. Uh, there was few elements we were kind of recreating and using uh, to represent more of his car. So you've got a turbo. He's got like a double turbo, and so the inspiration. People quite often, when they see biomechanical, they don't see the background of it. How many parts can actually relate to the customer's story. They're not just like just a random part. There's quite a lot behind scene and inspiration to be taught, like gaming included, some chains. We spent quite a lot of time on the chains. There's chain in here, like it's just on show before. That was a chain from his car. So this was, I think it was 2 days tattooing, 1 day off, 3 days tattooing, 1 day off, and 3.5 days tattooing. And that was one trip, and he got this one done in like space of 10 days or 11 days, being in the UK. So yeah, I've got quite a few customers like that who are actually coming for like a bigger project. Next one we're gonna show, it will be like a full torso, which we've met twice. One in Turkey and one came to the studio. And in Turkey, I think we got like over 30 hours done in space of 3 days, and in Blackpool, I think it was like 4 days, but it was more likely about 40 hours in 4 days because we had a really long days altogether. We planned a day session before for designing. So when actually comes to tattooing, it's a lot of being done.
No, amazing. And I wanted to highlight what you said. How many? It was 3 days on, 1 day off. What was that again? It was
2 days on, 1 day off,
uh,
3 days on, 1 day off, and 3.5 days on this Warwick design. He's got a video on YouTube, which we might be posting as well. When he actually talks, he created video. I think it's like a 15 minutes video when he go through every single day, and he's quite heavy on social media. So he did a video for his channel, and if you want to see it, it shows from his perspective designing process, and he's showing like, okay, day one, day two, day three, and this is flakiness, this is that, and he goes through all the process of it, and show it. So it's quite good video to watch. I think it should be linked to my Facebook as well.
excellent.
Right.
So you were promising a torso piece, um, and
Okay. Yeah.
we put it we put it on the thumbnail for the video. It's pretty incredible design. It really looks like it's very mechanical. It's very mechanical. It looks like a robot. Yeah. Holy shit! Amazing, Shamek.
So I
Wow.
try to make a movement springs in here just to kind of
Mm-hmm.
like interact with the movement, the chest. So this part, apart from sides, it was done in one session. So the top in here and that it was in done in Turkey in 3 days in a row. And then he came back and got one side of the ribs on one day, another side on the second day, third, fourth, and there was a top uh, fifth day in one go, so day after another. Considering being tall, so it is a tough cookie as well, but it's uh, it's possible. It depends. Obviously, he traveled from Thailand and originally from Singapore, so going back and forward a day at a time or 4 hours at a time, it just doesn't work. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to find the method to be able to deliver the piece on actually sessions. Me traveling and planning traveling to US and doing guest spots. I don't want to kind of like leave unfinished pieces behind because I want to travel from different parts and probably go back a few times to certain places, but ideally I'm focusing on final product on the end of the day without too much need of going over or touching up altogether. So I've got I think quite good understanding of application, ink into the skin to actually preserve and stays on it. So let's see the just really which one was it? Just the whole process, just whole process. Makes sense. As well, we'll start from the sketches and then 3D. So that was the sketches. They're gonna be it's only 3 minutes all video. So that's so the customer wanted like a heart in the middle and some mechanical elements. So we said so maybe heart and try to kind of have the mechanical representation on the heart as well. I've tried to imagine it like the heart being in space and suspended by the bars and something to try to create this three-dimensional effect. And I've been just trying with different forms of panels and frameworks. As you can see, I'm drawing some heart on the side just to on it. Start with the big forms. Obviously, there's no point to concentrate on elements because I use pre-made kit bashes and elements. So obviously, I will be replacing them panels with planners I've got available, or I'm gonna just create my own depending what do I need for the project. So yeah, that's more like a Iron Man, a bit more mechanical centerpiece.
Well, I mean, it's sort of like it makes so much sense watching watching you work through it. But of course, it's, if we just sort of start at the end product, right? Seeing this fully developed, you know, tattoo it fits a body, and it also is very there's a mechanical precision that you bring to the work. It is like it's mystifying. How on earth can I, achieve the thing that I want to do? Maybe like you design tattoos and you really would like to see um, you know a vision come to life. um, Watching this process, it's so logical, like really all the big shapes to sort of this very general to specific, and then here we go. You're not really putting on any of the fun light source stuff until you've really got it. You really have a very sort of deep understanding about the um, this composition. Yeah. Oh, it's amazing, man. No, it really is amazing, and I think it's a huge commitment too. Like you said, like you really want to get this done for your client in an efficient manner, and usually you're either traveling or they have to travel. So um, you've really transformed the body in I think
Yeah,
it's a very very interesting way.
it's I think it's a good idea to actually be able to finish and box off the piece. Uh, don't get me wrong, it's always good to meet up, and I advise people like after 6 months when everything is done in that sort of manner, ideally to add some blacks if possible. So that's why some of them customers from America when I'm gonna be going now. That's why I'm gonna be meeting them up with them 6 months later just to touch on the black and just to kind of sharpen the edges, and because you know as much as you can do in one go, it's there's always might be some lines which they not went straight in, considering different aspects of the body. On one surface it's easy to predict how things gonna work, but creating the big piece, and it's a lot of different variations of little things can be done on. So uh, having few hours afterwards still advisable, but quite often them customers saying like, I know you want to meet up, but I don't really see from my perspective what you can do better than what it is, if that makes sense. So like customers don't see them little tweaks you can do even better, but they're always happy, and I've got quite quite good, like fresh and healed examples as well. I'm not sure if I hear, but they're on my Facebook and Instagram. So if you're wondering how they heal, you can go and see. On my Instagram, I've got the highlights, fresh and healed tattoos, and the one for example, I've mentioned. One second, because we've got I think photos in here. Uh, no, I don't. No, I didn't took it because on Warwick, for example, his tattoo. When you look on, like for example, this part is already healed because it was done like 6 days beforehand. So obviously, when customers coming for 6 7 days, it's not like they've got a fresh 7 days worth fresh tattoo on. They only have a 2 days of fresh tattoo, and then obviously after 2 days, everything settled down to be no painful and the scab's healing, and so it's not that bad, the multiple sessions, as people try like think of it, because obviously if you go for 9 days, there's only two last days gonna be, you know, you're gonna fill them. All the rest is gonna be settled down, hopefully, and healing process. And while I'm tattooing 7 or 9 days, I've got the customer have the best aftercare because he's sitting on my chair. The top of the arm is exposed. He's breathing. I can put the cream whenever I need to. There's no clothing. There's no work. There's no, like every movement while they're getting more sessions done. So considering the amount of damage through the days, but the healing process is really good.
No, I think that's such a great point. We we send off our clients with with the hope that they're going to be able to take proper care. But if they're still in the chair with you, you're seeing them every day for the
Yeah,
for a week or better. You're actually going to be able to really take care
look
of it
after.
yourself the best way, that give them the best possible aftercare. And so that's amazing that some of these pieces are really kind of they look relatively healed up after only a day, or day to 3 days or so. So I think that is I think kind of a unique offering. It really is. It really is something that's uh, I think it could be really desirable to have. I
Mm,
want to invite everybody. If you're watching, make sure to like and subscribe, but also be sure to send your questions to the chat. Um, yeah, we've got Kyle Olson, gives the artist time to rest as well, which will keep the quality of the artwork top notch. Great work, Shamek.
yeah, thank
Yeah,
you, Kyle.
thank you, Kyle. Um, Kyle's is a Reinventing the Tattoo subscriber. He's part of the subscribers exclusive drawing group, and he's also a great friend of the show. He just recently won an award based on a design that I got to watch him draw. It was very cool. Um, so yeah, no, it's great to have you this morning, Kyle. Thanks for the question. Um, I'm uh, I'm definitely you know just sort of it's overwhelming, all of the stuff that you.
Yeah,
I know it's your world, so you're kind of like, you know, um, it's like, yeah, you get to see this every day, but I think for me, getting a chance to get to know your work and see all of this, um,
oh, it's nice to hear.
just yeah, all of it. It is. I think it's amazing. Um, I wanted to also showcase some of your artworks as well.
Mm,
Whenever you're ready, I'd love it if we could take a
yeah,
look
we
at
can.
some of your sculptures and stuff. Oh, so Spirit's in the chat as well. Spirit asks, where do you get your references from? Um, Before we go to the artwork, maybe we could touch on this question just a little bit.
Okay,
Um,
so for example, the good timing for it. Different ways to get reference. Before 3D designing, I've been trying to get reference from taking photographs of like bike chains with different angles, and because obviously biomechanic reference they were limited at the time. I started doing biomechanical tattoos like over 10 years ago, and push strongly this style. So I end up going to customers, garages, take photos of their bikes. Like this, like the one tattoo I've got in here. That's based on his bike. He got bike from TT Racing. Now the TT Racing on the Isle of Man in UK, and he been lucky to buy the Honda, which is used by the marshals. There's only 10 bikes created by Honda. It's like a specifically custom for the marshals and TT racing, the very rare, vehicles altogether. So he bought one, and I went to his garage to take photos of his bike parts and recreating the leg sleeve from like suspension to like different elements. So that was like before the ZBrush design. I've started as well sculpting after seeing Guy Atchison and Reinventing Tattooing. I've started biomechanical sculptures to create some reference for the tattoos. So, for example, this was one created for the arm with a bit of light, LEDs, because it was hard to get the good lighting, and I was trying to get some nice drop shadows, make it more realistic. With a reference, obviously, if you have a reference online and you find one mechanical part, another mechanical part, they're not always set up in the same perspective, the same lighting. So that always was the issue, and trying to improvise and make up that little, like nuances. It's kind of make it not always looks right together. So then I start sculpting and creating bigger sculptures. So, like for example, this was the back of the leg I created, and then I've tattooed that as well. A bit of, not the best photo, but I tattooed that based on that sculpture. Uh, we did some collaboration with Jordan Otersky on a mannequin, so it was like part of the mannequin, cut the head off, and then start creating that, like that's some sort of 3D sculptures, which then Jordan tattooed that on my leg, so it was quite a good turnout. So we did the other one as well. So that was the beginning of my biomechanical adventure, trying to find for better reference, for better lighting, for uh, better ideas. So then we had a like exhibition with some of my work, from clocks, mirrors.
Would you mind full screening that one of your exhibition with
Mhm.
some of your works? And I think this is a great way to kind of tie together not only this idea of like, where do you get these references from? I mean, you're making them, but these are also works. They stand alone, right? They're artworks unto themselves. I
Mhm.
mean, you could take these and make tattoos out of them, but I think they're wonderful pieces. As we were talking about it a little bit. Like you're, could we zoom in on that sort of that large that landscape, yeah, horizontal piece? Just sort of check that out for a minute. So sick. It's so sorry. I don't mean to fan all over, but yeah, it's like it's gorgeous. How did you kind of construct this work?
So in here you've got a school, which was broken. I've co-founded and organized tattoo convention for 4 years, and part of the convention was that a 10 school project, which we were sending to different artists, and they were doing different variations of them, and then that was auctions at the convention.
Hmm.
Uh, so, for example, I have it here. I have sculpture. I don't know what it is. Yeah, so they've been, I've got the sculpture, and one of the artists broke it too much, so I just took the sculpture and created a piece. Most of it's mechanical parts. I've got a few mechanics which were bringing the parts. So my idea was to kind of like feed the head with different mechanics. So it's not the best photo altogether, but I use all sort of elements just to kind of analyze as well the drop shadows, and the mechanics of bending pipes, making it less asymmetrical, because that's quite often the repeatable uh, shapes in biomechanical are desirable, but making it next level, sometimes they need to be a little breaking in that. So it's all kind of form of analyzing and then putting different lights and trying to understand how the shadows drops and how the elements reflect altogether.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sort of like, it's uh there's a pattern that repeats, but it's like the glitch. Something, there's some element that's broken. That's the part that
Hmm.
that becomes so interesting. You'd mentioned Guy Atchison's um, his approach. He demonstrates it in Reinventing the Tattoo,
Hmm.
where he would build models for for biomechanical pieces and light them in different ways, and then photograph them and stuff. Um, but I think I mean, you're definitely there was an incredible inspiration, but you've really taken it to in your own direction. There's something very your this work particularly, it reminds me very much of Geiger.
Oh
It
yeah,
looks,
Geiger
it
is
looks
massive
like, yeah.
inspiration.
It, yeah. You like Geiger's work, yes.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we spoke about it yesterday, and you've pointed out at the beginning of this meeting that the sketches are so important. And if you go through Geiger's any books, and I've got quite a few, a collection quite a few, and I went to his museum in Switzerland, you see that the dolls he had in his museum, which are, looks like from spaceship, they all started from very rough sketches, and that was quite often, like he's missed on creating ideas for the tattoos. And I've seen quite a few people on your show from the previous, on the YouTube channel, and I went through it to just have the inspiration. Quite a few people talk about that, like if you have to draw the flower, you just draw the circle, and then you're trying to arrange the composition first before you starting working too much on the details. And that's where at the beginning it's easy to kind of get trapped, or because you stuck. If you make a mistake, you're just stuck in one, in dust. And even if you add the best details on the end, it's still, you will have the same mistake from the beginning, which sometimes you feel it's wrong, but it.
No, I think that's such an important point, and it's I think it's worth revisiting. It's worth sort of going back, over and over and over again, because it can be so difficult you know to realize what's in your head, get what's in your head out, right? To create, be creative, work in art. You know what I mean? I think that what's what I keep finding, you know, with your work is this relationship of body as a machine. The body is mechanical. It's biomechanical, and so you're really kind of there's an emphasis that you're placing. Um,
Yeah, I think like I always was into kind of because obviously human bodies have got limitations. So
mhm.
obviously fast cars and any mechanical or digital or any device we are surrounded by, the enhanced our body, even mobile phone. You can communicate with people all over the world like what we do now with the computers. This is technology. This is us being heavily involved in technology. And most of my customers from this style, they all have some aspects of technology, like involved in their work or hobby. Like Warwick, he built custom cars and buy and sell. And most of the Kyle, which I've not done it, he raised the drag cars. So the part of his design was actually the bottom of the engine of the drag car he raced, because he needed to strip the engine and put it back in almost every year race. So he's been watching this part for so long. So he asked me actually to get this involved. So uh, he's been, that's his supercharge from his car, from the car he raced. So we got this on his chest. The machinery as well. When I went to US 2 years ago. He's got the fact his company, his family's company, is like based almost 2 hours away, like outside is Chicago. So I went in person to his factory and took some photos of the machine parts he's been using, and he deals with that all every day. And I've created design based on this part, like the cables. Uh, so that was the mechanics I built for top of his in the 3D software, top of his arm. So I could see the pipes, this element here. I've reverse engineered and created from like separate spheres and put some cogs and so that's the difference between trying to sculpt the design, because I've built like the workshop in a garden to actually be able to create, but creating the big piece of art for each customer it started to be kind of unfeasible.
Hmm.
And obviously having interesting parts. So then Tomasz Tofinski, he has been following his work for years, and I'll show you his work. It's incredible artist. Uh,
This makes a lot of sense, though, seeing where you're, like this trajectory of, like you're taking photographs of actual mechanical parts, you're doing, using them as reference. Now, next, you were building them out of things, they're making a collage of like all these little bits that, they looks mechanical. Now you're actually, you're 3D modeling it. They're serving your needs. It's again, I think there's an interesting connection to, like you said, that these bodies are enhanced through a sort of, um, they're enhanced through a sort of like a mechanical, link, but also, they're tools, right? The tools that we're using to help us, you know, like realize our vision, let's say. I think you are. It makes a lot of sense, I think, with the sort of the progress. Not only so you're showing your process of how you make these things, but also there's a overall career process of how did you come to this. I think it's demonstrated through just sort of looking at like where you're at now, where you're coming from. Um,
mhm.
I have a couple of questions in the chat that I wanted to ask you. So
Okay.
one of them is again another question from Kyle.
What's
Uh,
up,
what
boo?
dif- Hey, so what difficulties have you come across with traveling distances to tattoo? So you travel all over the world and do tattoos. What are some of these obstacles? What are some of the difficulties that you've encountered?
With this style, obviously they're quite heavy on the equipment, and I've got a big build. You probably see it in the background, so like a water cooled PC to actually be able to work some more complicated design. So that's difficult. One of the difficulties, and it is under pressure because sometimes even having the design created in 3D, like ready to go, when I'm meeting with a customer, I need to realign certain pieces because of being big projects and big designs and covering full body parts. They need to wrap around. They need to meet up in certain ways. Most of them, when you see the movement, the
Aha!
part the parts make sense as well. Sorry. So difficulty it's actually fine tuning the elements. So now Mali we just kind of and then uh, printing stencils and all that. It's obviously whoever travels it knows there's always like when you're in your shop and surrounding. I'm using like the big Epson printer to print the stencil. So then obviously if I go into broader traveling equipment, it's slightly different. But apart from that, obviously customers as well, because if you're going for the big projects like that, as much as I can kind of prepare and I've got the methodology to be for customers to be able to last that long, but you never expect what you can get. So it's always kind of like a bit stress if his customer's gonna take it well, if it's gonna work, because obviously if you're booking five days in a row and customer is not gonna be able to make it, which didn't happen so far, but there's always, some skin problems you can, or not always happen very rarely, but every now and again you have a skid which doesn't take ink too well, or customer is moving or jumping or twitching when you tattoo them, which like happens to everyone. So apart from that, obviously organizing it to go to America and travel, it's a lot of, because I'm in the progress of doing visa, and a lot of hours spent, and like a lot of preparation, traveling, and booking, and so it's a big job to organize as well. Uh,
Well, on that note, we've got another question from Tattoo Now. Where do you plan on landing in the USA? Will you be accepting new clients?
oh yes, definitely. So I'm collecting the list. So if anyone is interesting, I'm collecting the list by the ideas and location. So I've got few booked in New York. The first trip hopefully is gonna be in September to Los Angeles, where I'm gonna be visiting Mike DeVries, his studio, and then convention around. So what I will be doing is collecting the customers and locations, and then look for conventions in area, and some tattoo studio to do the guest spot. So working weekend, 3 days for the week, and then have 2 days off, just to kind of travel around. We've got a traveling website and a YouTube channel where we post videos from the trip. So we want to kind of bit entertain our customers, not just with tattoos, but with all the adventure, and obviously tattoo artists as well can maybe have some inspirations and see the problems we come across, and we'll try to kind of talk about it. So the answer to questions, what you can across, if you're interested in it, there will be videos, and there are some videos from previous sessions and previous trips. If you want to check our YouTube channel, Inkden TV, which is on my Shamak page, you will find a link to it as well.
Amazing. Well, I wanted to extend an invitation. We have a few people in the studio with us this morning who have, they've been hanging out, watching your presentation. If anybody that's in studio wants to hop on, ask any questions of Shamik, please feel invited.
Okay. So let's have a look in here. Do I have a video from this one? I might have a video of the finished tattoo, which was
Okay.
the top bit. It was done slightly before, but this is like the supercharge the elements of these machines. I only found this video quickly. Let's see, like this element. Actually, that was a photograph he supplied me with. And this element, which is the part of the engine he takes apart every time, or almost every time they race. So I can use 3D software to design elements, or as well I can use the photographs of the customers. Uh, customers' photographs depends what they require. So this part, the top part was healed, and the bottom part is the fresh part. Not how
Well, there's a lot of everything feels like it's designed to fit, but everything else, all of the elements, they also flow. So even though there are blocky kinds of elements, they do seem to be um, as they balanced, right, with something that has some curve, right, something that flows. And so I think that's one of my questions is how are you where are you striking this balance? Is it during the thumbnailing process? Um,
Uh, Definitely, like the big inspiration has always been the Reinventing Tattooing book by Kai Hutchinson, which obviously, if someone who's listened to it never come across or not heard or been thinking if it's kind of like what is this about? Because like I would advise to sign subscription for a year if you any level of tattoo artist. The Reinventing Tattoo book has been a big influence, and what you just mentioned about the flow, and that was like clearly stated in the book, all process from preparing design to like to final product, choosing the lighting, everything is included in the Guy Hutchinson book. Which if anyone ever in a history asked me what to do to improve the tattooing skill, I've always been sending first to Guy Hutchinson book, which is now is the form of reinventing subscription, isn't it? So if you
Hmm.
want to maybe mention something about it, how it works.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I believe that the QR code that I have at this top screen is to reinventing, and so if you scan that, it'll take you right to the website uh, where you can choose from the courses that they offer. There's all kinds of offerings. So it's sort of a la carte. But like you're mentioning, Shamek, you can also gain access to the book, um, and it's always being updated. So there's a part of that that I appreciate. Uh, Many years ago, I actually had a physical copy. It has since walked off,
I've
so
got physical
that is such a
copy.
shame. But yeah, Shamek, you've got it. You've got the. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I've got the physical copy signed.
Oh,
Oh, obviously, how
lucky.
do I know?
So
Yeah, it's been my
lucky.
treasure.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, I
at
don't think they're
that
making
safe.
any more of those. So
Okay.
that's yeah, hang on to that. So well, it's an important part of of tattoo history, and that's also another choice that you could select on the Reinventing homepage. There's a really great history course by Jay Brown of the Northwest Tattoo History Museum, member of the APT. So
Oh yeah.
Alliance of Professional Tattooists. Shamek, did you just joined a Alliance of
Y-
Professional Tattooists as well?
Yes, I did join
That's
it a
awesome.
couple of days ago after you've
Cool.
mentioned that, and I have a live stream I've watched 2 weeks ago. I was like, okay, I need to get onto that and look into more, because we spoke about helping and regulations, and it's good to have someone to actually you know check on and chat with, and we spoke about the lawyers and stuff, so it's always good to.
That brings up another question to my mind. So you are in the UK. Has the have the ink regulations that were in I think it was the European Union's REACH legislation. That is what has been
No,
banning ink. Has that affected you in the UK at all?
no, luckily we've been I don't know if you heard the story, but like UK went through Brexit, which
Yes.
they just they went off the European Union just before actually all that happened. So luckily we've been able to keep the old inks, and I find it quite, obviously, me being black and grey artist, wouldn't affect me as much, but I do like them, the touches of color, which makes it a bit complicated, because like when I went to Brussels Convention, for example, I had to buy set of inks actually there just to be compliant, because I couldn't really use them there. So when I was traveling there, then I had to get this set off, and luckily, I only used like two sets of reds and greens, I think, there. So I managed to. It wasn't that much, there were 10 inks. But for anyone traveling from US to Europe, that's what you need to consider.
It's this
I have a question.
yeah, creature, please. Creatures from Creature's Cave has a question.
How's it
Thank you.
going, everybody?
Good.
Uh,
Good.
I was running a little late today. I loved what I caught. It's nice to meet everyone. I have a question. The UK. Now, I follow Ben Fisher's course. Are you familiar with him?
Ben
He's out of the
Fisher's.
UK.
Not sure. I'll have to look into
Ink
it.
Tattoo Studio goes by Ink Rush. I was just curious if you knew of him or his course. And we had talked quite a bit about the inks.
Okay, I've not. Unfortunately, I don't recall the name. We'll look into it definitely, or if you want to put some link in the chat, definitely we'll look
Certainly.
into it. The reinventing, it was like the courses I would kind of like, and I've based on. I've done few seminars, still does it. I've just done the 10 master seminar as well. So I will look into his and see what he's what his seminar
I would
talking
love
about.
to know what you think about it.
With the inks, obviously, it's a wide topic, and it's obviously the regulations and reasons for regulations. Everyone kind of like we are lucky to actually be and stay away from that for yet, but they've been actually announcing they might be looking into something just to kind of check it, but I've heard quite mixed reviews about them inks, and from especially from realism color artists and how they behave, and it was for me it was kind of hard to understand why to change something that's been on the market for so many years without any problems, and they're just trying to introduce something which will take so many years to actually see if that's right or not. So,
Mm.
but I think that's what we can finish this topic on.
No, I think that it's an important one, and I was curious about what's the experience been like. You're proximate to the to what happened in Europe, and but it's also impacted you, like you said. You went to do convention
Mhm.
in the European Union, and it you had to be compliant, and so we are we're going to face it in the U.S. Certainly, there's going to be our own round of regulations that are on the horizon, um, and and again, it's there was a recent report that that was done. There was a research project where the researchers looked at all at major. I'm not gonna say all, but they looked at many major ink producers and minor ones, and they found that there just wasn't a correspondence to like what's on the label is what's in the bottle. There's probably some really interesting reasons for this, but again, um, we're all as tattooers, we're subject to what's happening. So I think being aware of it in some to some
Oh yeah.
degree is probably important. And so I'm glad that you joined the Alliance of Professional Tattooists. It's again, you're in the UK, so
Mhm.
that's the thing to remember. The Alliance is really open to tattooers all over the world. It's not,
Okay.
I think a lot of times we think of it as a US organization, but it is its home base is here in the US, but of course it's I think we're really trying to to be worldwide sort of network of tattooers who want to be professional, who really want
Mhm.
to see the industry be protected, and also share the latest in health and safety. So anyway, that's what I think that's the whole that's the whole spirit of everything today, right? We're Reinventing's mission is of course to make tattooers better artists, as well as um, again, this space where we're talking about like there are other courses. Of course there's many other offerings out there, and I think it's an exciting time, right?
Mhm.
Where uh, I guess that's an interesting idea, as like the notion of like a gatekeeping, right? There's
Oh yeah.
certainly when I was first learning to tattoo, it was an apprenticeship type of a situation, and that was everything that would be the I think the way that it would be described is that like there was some secret out there. The old timers had the secret, or whatever the case may be. I think that what uh, what what we're really starting to realize is there is no secret, that there is information that's useful, but it really takes hard work, and it really
Mhm.
takes dedication, and mentorship is crucial.
People like when I talk to people who want to start tattooing, and I always mention that people don't realize that the knowledge you need to actually gain while trying, like while progressing in tattoos, it's equivalent to going university and finish, like or go university plus, the art university plus, learning the tool which is tattoo machine, which is application ink under the skin. So it's quite a high advanced process, which like some people might underestimate. So when it's like we it happens quite a lot of people coming with some basic design. So I want to be a tattoo artist. So like people don't realize and not prepared how much knowledge, how much time, and how much progress you need to actually go through to be worthwhile tattoo artists and earn, have decent money. Because like, you can't earn a lot of money without putting hard work, which is kind of gaining knowledge. Like quite often you get paid for skill and knowledge altogether. So, aiming to be in that sort of figure job, you need to actually put time and effort actually to stand out. Which courses are the best way to kind of gain knowledge. And with this, like when I started tattooing, there was no internet. So it's like, it's hard for people now talking about AI. Oh yeah, this is not fair because the AI can create work. Like starting without internet and going to library to actually see the samurai and the armor of samurai, and trying to buy little figure and take a photographs of it because you didn't come across the samurais in a daily basis. Now you can type in on YouTube, on like Netflix, and you have 10 or 20 outstanding films with all the graphics, and like with the samurais, a reference you can actually be inspired by. So it's changed altogether, and the knowledge needs to be kind of updated every year, I think.
Yeah, this is important. That again, with an apprenticeship, you still have to get out there, take courses. You know what I mean? Like you need mentorship, but you also need to always be working on. You should always be working on your art. This is not to say that there's a right way, that everybody has to be a biomechanical artist. I
Oh
don't.
no,
We're certainly not saying that in any way. But whatever you're interested in, that's the thing that you should really pursue. And there's always a scene, right? Or maybe a milieu is the better word. But you're always there's your group, right? There's your group of people who are like-minded and are really interested in a particular thought about beauty, what you think is beautiful, even if it's an ugly thing. It can be like it's beautiful to you. That's important, and you should dedicate yourself to it. Become subject to that, and that's going to help you. Um, I think it's really going to help you live a much more fulfilling life, fulfilling career. What you are is in a large part defined by what you do, and who you surround yourself with. So.
Yeah, I think any creative job, photography, like graphic designing, anything, creating websites, or anything which needs creativity, it's demanding work and needs to be updated with the new trends, and you need to. That's why like it tends to the process of learning takes whole life. You can't just like go through apprenticeship and after apprenticeship finish learning and don't go any seminars, and you need to kind of strive for new things and check new equipment, new ideas, new styles, because it's changing a lot. So this is that kind of job.
Yes, no, it's that's really great advice. It was so wonderful getting a chance to take a look into your process. Again, what dates are you planning on coming to the U.S. just so that way people can put it in their calendar?
I'm still waiting for the visa process to be finished.
Okay.
So hopefully it's gonna be September, end
Okay.
of September time, which is like Los Angeles and this area. And then obviously I'm gonna be start planning it around the conventions, around the customers. So when I've got the visa approved, which is on the end of the process now, application. So hopefully that's gonna be approved soon. The next stop is Paradise. Hopefully I will be able to do the seminar there. So if anyone is interested, I don't know if you have a link anywhere or you can
I
see it.
actually do. Well, I hope this is to the new Paradise
Gathering, yeah.
But yeah, the Paradise Tattoo Gathering. There's a new logo that's that Jake Meeks drew for it, and it is beautiful. What do we got here? Yeah. So, but anyway, certainly the Paradise Tattoo Gathering is a wonderful event. It's really, there is tattooing going on. There's incredible tattooists, but what I really, took away from it is it's an amazing weekend of seminars where you have the opportunity to really gather a wide array of different offerings. So it's a great event, and put on by Tattoo Now and the Fireside Tattoo Network. Check it out, Paradise Tattoo Gathering. Hopefully, we'll see you there. I want to just sort of like reach out. If anybody else has any final questions for Shamik, speak now. Forever hold your peace. And thank you, everybody in the chat, for contributing, and then everybody that joined us in the studio today. It was really great to have you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right. We are.
It was nice to meet you and see you guys. Listen.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm
that's
late.
nice. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No,
that's okay.
you're all good. Thank you for coming. Surround yourself on. Yeah.
Here. You want to say hi?
I don't have to.
Come on, say hi.
I don't have
Is
to.
that the other way? Say hi.
Hey, I'm the other
Hello.
artist in the show.
Oh,
Hi.
yeah. What's your name?
My name is Danielle.
Hey, Danielle.
Danielle, she's the star.
No, I'm not. I have so much to learn. So much to learn.
We all do.
Don't we all?
No,
We all do.
Yeah, thank
We all
you.
do.
Well, thank you for introducing us. Kyle Olson, speaking of surrounding yourself with awesome people, guest spots available. Shamik, you have an incredible shop. If I'm reading this right, are you ever accepting guest artists at your
Yes.
at your spot?
Yeah, actually, we've got one guest artist today in the shop, which I have to leave and come in here, but he's only doing half day, so he's gonna have we're gonna have afternoon together. Yeah, we've got the regular guest spots, quite a few over the year. So if you wanna send some of your work, and then we can have a chat on how we can arrange it. It was much more before Brexit. Unfortunately, Brexit's complicated quite a lot. Traveling to UK and working in UK, so we had quite a few guest spots from all over the Europe, which we actually had to stop, coming because the regulations are so unclear, and it takes a lot in regards to working in the UK. Hopefully, they're gonna do something about it, sometime soon, but there's not really much information about it, and I know quite a few studios do it, but we're not as big studio to put lawyers into motion to actually set up all the process. But if anyone is from UK or have a right to work in UK, we would, we're always looking for new artists to join us.
And there was something else that I think was important, is that especially if somebody is traveling to work with you, you want them to be able to complete their projects in an efficient way as well. That's something you're looking for. Somebody who has a really developed process of being able to do whatever scale of work it is they do.
Mm-hmm.
If I mean, maybe they're in a similar vein to you. They do really large scale stuff, but you want your thought is you're looking for somebody who can actually complete a really large scale, if that's your your work.
Yeah, it's just to have it completed and without need of touching up and going over altogether. So we've been there in the past. We invite guest artists, and obviously they come back. Ideally we're looking for regular guest artists as well. So like the guy which is in today, Pedro, he comes almost every month to us for a few days. So if it's bigger piece, then we can obviously accommodate bigger pieces, and he's doing actually finishing few sleeves he started while here. So it doesn't mean we don't allow them sort of pieces.
Okay.
It's obviously, if someone's starting full sleeve with a guest artist, ideally we need to have a plan, few other trips already in place before we booking bigger designs. But if someone does small pieces as well, as long they heal well and they can kind of like be done in one session without going over too many times, because I've come across going to different seminars. I've come across different approach about tattooing in 2 sessions and putting layers, and obviously there's no right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously traveling artists ideally to be able to be predictable and consistent with the work.
Yeah.
So that's what I've tried to achieve as well. So if I go to tattoo studio, I'm not forced to come back. I want to come back, don't get me wrong, but it's just like the customers, I like to have them final products and enjoying it, not just the outline, for example, of the piece.
Excellent. No, thank you for the clarity, and and thank you again for your time today and for sharing your your process and your work. I definitely got a lot out of it, and So I'm really, really proud to share that. And thank you for being a part.
Thank you.
We want to, yeah, of course. Thank you to Tattoo Now thank you to Gabe, right, for everything you do behind the scenes. It really is, it's a lot of work. And so we appreciate you. And of course, you can also find out more by scanning our QR code at the top for reinventing the tattoo. I want to say thanks to Guy Etchison for being the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo community.
And mine.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And then, of course,
And
thank
my
you.
inspiration. I'm
Yeah,
just saying, like, thanks to Guy Hutchinson
Mhm.
for inspiring me to kind of look for
Yeah.
different aspects and different ways to actually gain. And probably Toffee, I should mention, to kind of showing me the basis of 3D designing. He's based in Poland, but someone from Europe would like to approach him. I think he's quite willing to spend time with people to do like a 3D, like a course, beginner course, or kind of it's tailored to tattoo artists. So it's we don't advertise on it, but I know if you approach him, it's a possibility.
Yeah, no, I think that's we all have people that we look up to, and I think it's it's just a really important
Mhm.
part of developing. So anyway,
Thanks,
thank you,
Kyle.
Shamik. Yeah, thanks, Kyle, for all your questions. Thank you, Creature, for joining us. Everybody in the studio today, everybody that watches on YouTube, we really appreciate it.
Mhm.
So Shamik, we know where to find you. We've been um, putting up your QR code here, but if we could, where's the? Just give us your sign off. Where can we learn more about you?
Okay, so 1 second. Where's the page? So website. It's a good way to go on my or our website. Then
Here,
tattoo dot.
I can share. Let me share you. So we're gonna share. All right. So here's your website.
Yeah, so we've got a YouTube channel with a playlist, a blog, talk about the sculptures. There's a few blogs about different aspects of my tattooing, biomechanical, travels, some Instagram merchandise, TikTok, tattoo mousse, which is a cream I use for tattooing, which helps like numbs it down. I think they're rebuilding the website, but it's all the aspects I've come across and designed to be able to do multiple sessions. It's quite fine tuned altogether, and the cream and looking after it, it's a big part of it as well. So I would like to mention something for the people who's not done multiple sessions. It's not just a straightforward, I don't want you to come back and start booking 5 days in a row on your customers, because without the right methodology and right approach to it, and way how you deal with that overnight and everything, it can be a disaster altogether. I don't want people coming for 5 days, be promised tattoos, and artists can't deliver it because it is really difficult, like fine-tune process to actually be able to do it. So I don't want anyone to come out with wrong impressions altogether. If you anyone have a question about that, I'm more than willing to answer them if you want to approach me in person. But I think that's something the industry will be pushing now, because at the convention you can see it more. Three people tattooing one person, and it's been quite a trend now to have a multiple sessions, multiple. So it's worth to look into it. I don't use any numbing cream or numbing sprays while tattooing multiple sessions as well. So that's the question. If anyone have a question why, just send me a message. I can answer that and have a chat about that. It's a bit long topic to mention that. To talk about it, but yeah, if anyone have any questions, you can approach me on any of those platforms, and I will try to reply to you. Apart from that, I think
I
if
think
anyone.
that's so. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's so important. Like you can't just jump right to the end, right? If you want to, if you want to do multi-session work, in that short duration, it takes a real strategy and a real process. And so you've worked this out over your career, and you've come up
Mhm.
with something that is, it's very particular. And you're also willing to share this your insights here, which I think is so crucial. So anyway,
Hope.
that's really good advice. To don't just go for it. Don't just try to set up a 5-day tattoo with somebody. You have to work. You have to gain the skills and the knowledge to be able to achieve
Yep.
it. So
Yep.
that's really good advice. So thank you for again just qualifying that. Like it's not that this is something that you do, but it's not for everybody. Not every single thing is right for everybody. So
And
but
every style as well, obviously.
yeah,
Different
every
styles are
style,
different.
every approach. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do it. And so if you're interested in learning more, again, like reach out to Shamik, and you're very like generous with your knowledge and your time. So yeah, I want to say thanks.
Yeah, travels. If there was a question about the travels, I normally try to put it in my highlight in here. So if you go on Instagram, normally this is getting updated. So I put it on the story, and then I try to post it there as well. So if there's any plans confirmed, the next stop it's Liverpool Tattoo Convention, but it's quite few announcements, obviously, by the years. So if you would like to check for any updates, that's the place to look into.
Awesome. Yeah, very cool. Well, I think with that, we're gonna draw it to a close here. Creature, you hung out the whole time. Where can we find you at, Creature?
We're at Creature's Cave, Marion, Ohio, Suite 108. It's rocking.
Awesome.
We've been
congratulations.
Crazy busy, James.
That's good. No, I'm really happy for the all the success. We've watched you really develop your tattoo shop from the ground up. So it's great to have you this morning. Thanks for your questions, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Okay. I'm James.
Thanks,
you can find me at Tattooing Wisdom all over the internet, and of course, happy drawing, everybody. We'll see you next stream. All right. Bye.